The Knights of the Realm, Episode Origins, Chapter 4, Our Fair Lady. The Heft House rests at the top of a hill, consisting of 2 levels with a deck to decorate its front. To the right was a wood barn, half its size but the same in height. To the left of the 2 was the woods, the fallen trees from yesterday's aftermath now warming in the late morning sun. A dirt road from the house and barn leads to a small walled-off garden, with various stepping stones placed to mark its path. Andrian hops between the stones and the well-worn boot prints matted into the grass, quickly finding himself at the garden's entrance. The wooden gate is littered with tiny pits of washed-away paint, its hinges rusted over. The stone walls surrounding it were covered in moss and vine, creating a colorful array of flowers and orchids. Herbs and spices sprout from the dirt within the wall, forming a circle around a statue of an Elevan woman. The woman wears robes that closely fit her figure, tiny elven letters etched at the hemline. Her hair was braided and bound, the only color in the marble statue being the ribbon that ran through it. At the feet of the statue of Unicella, Andrian's mother hums a quiet prayer. Andrian waits outside the gate, breathing in his mother's voice. The soft echo carries on the air, dancing with the breeze. He closes his eyes, silently humming the words along with her. Brilliant skies bring quiet nights. Soft-spoken streams deliver pure waters. We fly within your eyes, Our Lady in balance, Our Lady in beauty, Our Lady Unicella. We bask in your light, in your strength like a mountain, in your devotion like a river, in your absolution like our destinies, in your love like a mother, in your name, Our Lady of the Moon. His mother ends her tune with a satisfied sigh. Standing, she bows again to the statue of Unicella, leaning out and plucking away a loose flower from her garden wall, placing it in the statue's outstretched hand. Andrian looks at the stone more closely, seeing it free of cracks or stains. As the rose is placed within the statue's hand, Andrian sees a nearly imperceptible glow hum around the eyes, invigorating the stone's strength with white Arna. Andrian smiles, his mother finally noticing his presence. She smiles, but shakes her head as she does. "My hair is unbound," she reminds him. "I am lucky you did not have company." Andrian shakes his head. "What company would I have?" Maria forces a smile, grabbing her ribbon and weaving it into her hair. After a few twists, the ribbon moves on its own, forming a large braid and tucking itself behind her sharply tipped Elevan ears. She then opens the gate, gesturing for the 2 of them to walk. Together, they step onto the road uphill. Side by side, mother and son walk and feel daylight warm their skin. Maria's gray hair shines under its rays, but her expression lacks that brightness. She looks to the house, wrapping an arm around Andrian's. "Do you remember when you would always come with me to the garden?" she asks, a smile returning to her face, "when no amount of bribing or play could snatch you away?" Andrian nods. "I do. I also remember every song he would sing." Maria squeezes Andrian's arm. "Why don't we return to that time?" she whispers. "Perhaps we could, as a family, once Annabelle's initial tests are concluded." Andrian's smile grows weaker, but he nods and squeezes his mother's hand over his arm. She and Andrian continue to walk back, silence comforting the 2. Their trail leads to another garden closer to the home, this one featuring common fruits and vegetables. Within it, a bench of wood and marble lies, in which they sit upon it. As they relax, Maria looks out into the woods. Andrian tries not to watch her, but the longer her stare lingers, the more he finds his own eyes drifting to it. "Andy," his mother whispers, "I must trust you with something." Andrian straightens his back. "Of course. What can I do?" Maria turns, looking into Andrian's heft brown eyes. Her own eyes shake, as if her mind is bouncing between thoughts. She puts a hand on his face and caresses his cheek. You look so much like him, she mumbles, her elvish flowing smoother than the common tongue. My sweet Anduin. Andrian forces a smile. Ma, he whispers. You need something from me? Maria's eyes focus. She lets go of Andrian's cheek, looking away and turning back to the woods. She swallows, taking a moment before speaking with purpose. Our Lady has granted me foresight, she says. You will forge me new arrowheads, fletch them, and tonight, when the moon is full, I will hunt our foe. And you will do so without telling your sisters. Andrian nods. I'll do as you ask. However, Ma, I should join you. Together we can... Maria tenses. Her head does not turn to him, but Andrian can feel her scowl forming. I'll do as you ask, Andrian replies. But at least have somebody with you. Maybe there are warriors on the supply ships that arrived yesterday. Let me write a letter to Beachhead, and maybe they can spare some soldier... Maria turns, her scowl morphing into disappointment. You would trust my safety to soldiers, she argues. Do not fall to town gossip, Andrian. Lord Varos's peacekeepers would run or die before my first arrow was loosed, if they cared to help at all, that is. Andrian feels his jaw clench. King Varos, he corrects. He made a pledge to help all those who would join him. Dad's rank would entitle us to aid. Maria shakes her head. Again her face shifts, her eyes fixating on Andrian, pleading to him. Andy, hear my words. Your father's time in the army is as forgotten as a cold winter on a summer day. They have had years to cook and swallow a whole new feast of heroes. Our island's independence is his legacy. Do not sully it by asking for help. Ma, Andrian pleads, you may be a moonbow, but like you said yesterday, having support would... No, Maria explodes. Do not bring soldiers to this island. We can deal with this banshee on our own. Andrian stands, throwing his hands into the air. Exactly, he shouts. We can deal with this. What kind of a son would I be if I let my mother go into battle while I cower at home? Let me fight by your side. Together we can keep the girls safe. A snarl spreads across Maria's lips, her voice rising over Andrian's as she stands. It's not just about them. You are my child too. What kind of mother would I be if I let my son fight alongside me? A smart one, he yells louder. You'd be like Dad. Silence once again falls over mother and son, but now no smiles are shared. Maria's eyes shake, her boiling blood itching to be released. Andrian suffers a similar itch, yet neither move. Andrian meets his mother's stare, but his heart squeezes as it does. Tears well up in her eyes, filling to the point of bursting. Andrian feels his legs shake, watching as her tears finally spill over. I need arrows, she repeats, her voice stern. I will pursue this banshee alone. With Unicella's blessing and a little luck, this argument will be moot. Turning, Maria wipes her tears and storms off to the house. Andrian instinctively reaches out, but hesitates to actually touch her. Maria slips away as she speeds up the hill. Andrian sighs, rubbing his temple as he fights against a growing groan. His arms shake, wanting to erupt, and as Andrian watches his mother enter the house again, he takes a breath and walks to his barn. Several hours later. The pounding echo of a hammer crashing on an anvil pulses behind the barn doors. Andrian smashes his hammer against the iron, the force bending the hot metal upwards. Despite the commitment behind every strike, he flinches. Another hammer swing bends the object upwards, nearly burning his arm. Andrian stops, taking a long, hard breath as he looks upon his work. The crooked piece of metal roughly resembling a sword lies before him. He puts aside his hammer and leans on the anvil's edge, stretching his back and taking another breath. Looking up, he glares at the pathetic, bent metal. Grabbing the hilt of the blade, he tosses it with all its strength, yelling as it smacks against the barn door. A yelp cries out from the other side. Andrian looks up into the door, listening for further noises. He hears a small voice taking quick breaths. Tossing his gloves aside, he rushes outwards to it. Throwing open the barn doors, he sees Annabelle slumped against the wall, hand on her chest as she takes deep breaths. Andrian leans down and wraps his arm around her, with Annabelle just as quickly wrapping her arms around him. Squeezing her, Andrian whispers into her ear, "It's all right, Anna, it's all right. You're safe." Annabelle nods, burying her head into her brother's neck. "I'm sorry," she shakily says. I was sneaking." Andrian's stomach turns. He pulls away from Annabelle and sets her on the ground. Getting on one knee, he looks into her eyes. "You did nothing wrong," he assures. "I was angry." Annabelle's face twists, her lips quivering. "At something else," he corrects. I'm sorry. I startled you." Annabelle nods, her lips still trembling slightly. "Why are you angry?" she asks, wiping her face. Andrian stands. Offering his hand, he walks Annabelle into the barn. The heat from the forge hits her as soon as she walks in, clinging to her dress. The smell of charcoal plugs her nose, and the taste of metal lingers in the air. She coughs once, prompting Andrian to stop. Speaking gently, he guides her to the bench at the front of the barn. "Sit here." Annabelle watches as Andrian walks over to his anvil and places his hammer back upon it. As he retrieves something from his workbench, she looks over to the wall, where she heard the startling noise. Several pieces of scrap lie against it or in the wall, all with various weapons or small armor pieces to litter the stack. Neatly across from the room were several iron bars, varied in shape and coloration. Annabelle swings her legs from the bench as he watches Andrian return. "I made more arrows for Ma," he explains. "I tried making something else, but I got mad." Annabelle looks back at the scrap. "You must have been mad a lot," she notes. Andrian follows her gaze, his face flushing red. Andrian stammers. Yeah, sometimes I do. I shouldn't, but I do." Annabelle reaches out to the box that Andrian holds. Lifting the lid, she sees several arrows forged and fletched, with the shaft of brown wood and tips of pure silver. "Why arrows?" she asks. "Is Ma going hunting?" Andrian stiffens slightly. Closing the box, he shakes his head. "She just wants them for practice," he lies. "The silver's to honor Unicella." Annabelle inspects Andrian's face. He meets her eyes, and then she nods. She looks back to the scrap. "What were you trying to do before?" Handing the box of arrows to Annabelle, Andrian takes off his forge apron. Reaching for his father's sword nearby, he gestures to the scrap pile. "A sword," he admits. "Fixing Dad's inspired me to try for my own. Again." Andrian and Annabelle exit the barn. Closing one of the doors, his arm strains as the weight slowly moves into place. Annabelle walks over to the other door, but as she pushes against it, the door remains stuck. Putting the box of arrows in the grass, she uses both her arms. The barn door nudges, but she pouts. Andrian walks over to close it himself, but a mean look from Annabelle halts him. Crossing his arms, he gestures for her to try. Annabelle pushes again, straining and grunting, but the door remains still. Huffing, she frowns at the barn. "Good try, Anna," Andrian encourages. "I had to build up some muscles, too." "I'm not done," she protests. Andrian holds his arms up, stepping away. Annabelle looks back at the door. Stretching out her hands, she closes her eyes and begins to chant. Her elevon slurs together with half-pronounced words, but her hands and eyes glow white all the same. The same white armor glows at the edge of the door, lifting it slightly off the ground. With a steady hand, the barn door closes, soundlessly attaching to the other. The white fades away, along with Annabelle's chant. Triumphantly, she puts her hands on her hips, puffing out her chest with a smile. "Done," she beams. "I don't need muscles. I have power." "You do," Andrian affirms, his eyes wide but voice calm. "Where did you learn to do that?" Annabelle shrugs. Andrian sighs. Well, if you're anything like our sisters, something like that might have just cost you a week's prayer. Maybe even 2. Annabelle frowns. Praying is boring, she protests. She then continues with a frown. Unicella always takes my favorite flowers. Andrian smirks, patting her back. That's the way of the Ella. When you're old enough, maybe you can pick a different magic. Or a different god, Annabelle says, smiling. Andrian's whole body freezes. Don't tell Ma you said that.